Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Took a trip up to Pikes Peak the other day. It's what they call a 14 or a 14 feet summit. You drive up around 10 feet. Then take a shuttle bus up another 4,000 near the peak. You have to actually walk up a long, steep flight of stairs before hitting the peak. I'm not in the best shape by the end of the climb. I'm feeling it. Wee lad, catching my breath. I look out over my dominion, basking in its glory, standing very close to the edge. An old man walking by remarks,
"Careful, the winds up here can be pretty strong.
Feel a breeze pick up, blowing at my back.
A lot of people have died up here.
Start to feel dizzy. The old man grins.
Don't look down."
The wind picks up, stronger now. The thought of jumping crosses my mind. Snap out of it. I step back from the edge. The wind dies down suddenly. I look around. The old man is nowhere to be found. The place is literally a mountain peak with no trees and no brush. There's nowhere he could have gone that fast. I only turned away for a moment. Did a trickster spirit try to kill me?
Sure, I'll bite. Going to be a long one and I will split it into multiple parts. Translating it to English as I have posted it earlier to a Finnish form. Be me, 12 or 13-year-old kid. Grandpa has really bad throat cancer, fought it for years but eventually lost. Some info about Gramps: he was a kid during the Winter War in Finland, and what I heard, they lived relatively close to the border. During a night bombing, the family hid in the cellar. My great-grandmother was a warlord, basically just a volunteer nurse, and she wasn't home when this happened. My great-great-grandmother took her sister, my Gramps, and his 2 sisters into the cellar. Gramps wouldn't stop crying because he was so scared, so great-great-grandmother choked him until he fainted. Gramps was supposedly traumatized by this and was a quiet man all his life. Even more so than a typical Finn. I heard this from my grandmother when I was visiting her while on leave from the military. Me and Gramps had a habit of pressing our thumbs together for good luck whenever I had some major event coming up. Really close with Gramps, he taught me to shoot with a gun, make small boats from bark. He taught me all the card games, how to cheat on those, how to play chess, and I taught him how to play my Pokemon games. It was May Day, roughly 10 or so years ago. Gramps was in the hospital. Doctors told Grandma that Gramps didn't have much time left. Grandma relays the message. Most of the family went to visit Grandpa. All but me. I don't know why I didn't go. I think I was scared to see him so vulnerable. On the following night, Gramps died. Ironically, he choked on the phlegm in his throat. I was heartbroken for some time, but time passed and Gramps' death soon faded my memory. Couple of years later, near May Day, dream that we are spending the Christmas at grandparents' home. Gramps is alive. So is his dog, who passed a few years before him. Gramps is giving me his usual sly smile. Rubs his gray beard. Run up to Gramps and hug him, feel tears start swelling in my eyes. Gramps tells me to go wash my hands and then we'll play some cards. Great-grandmother, from my grandmother's side, not the Lotta, tells Gramps he is teaching bad manners to a child. Gramps just scoffs. It was his usual reaction to such things. Give Gramps another hug and go wash my hands. Wake up in the middle of the night and just start bawling my eyes out. I felt like these were the last goodbyes that I never got to say to him. More likely just me coping for the loss that I never truly dealt with. Another thing Gramps taught me were a lot of Finnish traditional sauna rituals. What songs to sing in the sauna. Sauna Tomtenissar, using this word as it is more recognized. How to throw water the correct way. Be at grandparents' summer cottage in lower middle parts of Finland. Gramps tells me that the sauna is sacred. You respect the sauna while you're in there, and you act properly in there. Whenever we got out of sauna, he always put a couple of extra logs into the stove for the Tomtenissar. At the cottage, he had this fancy whiskey cognac bottle from which he always poured 2 tiny glasses to the brim. He took them to the sauna and placed them on a small stone by the doorway. After he did that, he always reminded me to not make too much of a ruckus while playing, and that I shouldn't shoot with the air gun because I wouldn't like it if somebody was making noise while I was in the sauna. The way the property was built, the main building was on top of a hill, from where you could see into the lower area. In the lower area there was a small swimming pool that Gramps had dug out, the sauna. A small canopy and a grill made of tiles. We were playing cards in the main building and Gramps grows quiet and tells me to be quiet. Hear a splash. Gramps stands up and goes by the window, gestures me to come closer. I never saw any Tomtenissar myself, but I vividly remember seeing ripples in the pool, like somebody had jumped in. Heatenings because I was maybe 8 or 9 years old at this point. Gramps just smiled and pet my head, told me to always remember to act properly in sauna. Grandparents had a really traditional, conservative marriage, so Grandma never questioned this kind of stuff. Back at home, Gramps would just leave a cheap beer under the sauna's sitting area. Told me that Tomtenissar didn't really like the electric sauna anyways. I feel the need to mention that this was such a long time ago, that I just leave these kinds of things alone. If we are at a summer cottage or someplace similar, I usually try to leave some afterheat for the Tomtenissar if possible. If not for them, then to honor Gramps' memory. Be at a friend's cottage in northern Finland. Be drunk. We have gotten out of the sauna already, and it's nearing midnight. It's full moon and there's little to no light pollution up there, so visibility is really good. Go with a few friends to the sauna building by the lake. The main building was separated from the sauna by a small patch of forest. A small pathway went through the forest. Enjoy a smoke and have some small talk with friends. Hear somebody start playing a guitar in the main building, so friends start heading back. I decide to finish my smoke and enjoy the nature a bit. Remember Gramps and his stories about the Tomtenissar. Grab a cold beer from the bucket, open it and leave it by the door. Feel silly and knock on the door saying sorry about the intrusion. Almost forgot your beer. Walk to the end of the small pier. Start pissing to the lake. Hear some gravel moving. Hear the pier cracking behind me, like somebody stepped on it. Figure it's one of my friends. Still pissing, say hello to my friend. No answer. Finish pissing. Turn around. No friend in sight, nobody is there. Start feeling really spooky. Feel like I shouldn't be there. Put the smoke out by throwing it into my beer. Don't know why I did this, it was still almost full. Start power walking off the pier. See that my smokes are left on the porch, by the sauna door. Don't want to go and get them in case I get cursed or pranked by the Tomtenissar. Start hauling ass back to the main building. Feel somebody or something looming behind me, being one step behind me. Sense of dread immediately fades after I get into the yard of the building. Don't dare look behind me because screw that. Make sure that for the rest of our stay, I'm the last one to leave the sauna. I put a couple of logs in the stove for the Tomtenissar. Even pour them some drinks and leave them on the stools. Come the next day, drinks are always empty. Might be because a friend cleaned up, might be because of the Tomtenissar. Never bothered to find out the truth. By the end of the week, one of the girls' bikini went missing. All of the swimming gear were drying in the main building's porch before we left. More likely it was the weird guy of our group who stole them. But I like to think that a pervy old Tomtenissar took them.
Amy, age 9. Very adventurous kid. Natural naturist. I went into the woods by myself frequently. Never scared, felt comfort at all times like I belonged here. Live in Kentucky. Split time between dad and grandparents. Dad lives in the city. Grandparents live in a woods. One time I was exploring further than usual. Never scared, the woods were my friends. They were naturally good at finding their way home without trouble. Come across a shrine of some sort. Looks to be covered in moss and some sticks. Angled to look like an arch, almost like you when you have those menagerie of the manger with Jesus and such. Few rocks and things were placed inside. Sudden waves of sadness can tell it hasn't been used in a while and that it was missing a few things. Gather some sticks and long grass. Make a teepee in the middle and something is just guiding my hand, and make the sticks into a fence surrounding it all underneath this arch. Instant feels of relief and happiness once I'm finished. Lose my Swiss Army knife as I'm going home and get really sad. Next day. I found a Swiss Army knife against a tree on the edge of the woods. Figure must have dropped it there, so pick it up. Go back to the altar. Art project, I don't know what it was. The flowers are blooming all over it. Kid, so just think nothing of this, and I'm like, wow, it's beautiful. Add some small touches and other things. Take some daisies and make a ring around the entire thing. As I'm leaving, I see a big dog, bigger than a wolf in my child's mind. Not really scared, knows it wants me to follow. So start to follow it. Takes me real deep in knowledge, which did freak me out a little bit cause I'm no longer familiar with the trees, rocks and dried river around me. Calm down when I think I can just follow the river home. Dog stops in front of a tree and looks at me. I swear to God the tree had a face on it like from Pocahontas but less detailed. Had the eyes and mouth but no nose, just a slight grimace with eyes closed. Approach the tree and feel feelings of sadness and happiness. Tree doesn't speak with words but through feelings. Tell the tree I am sorry for what we have done to its forest and that I will try to help. Dog nudges to touch the trunk. I of course oblige because I don't want to piss off Cujo and Treemother. Stream of sap comes from the tree face and touches my hand. Figure this is some blessing of some sort, so tell the tree thank you. Spend a day digging up flowers and replanting them near the base of the tree. Arranging small river stones in a semicircle around the base of the tree. All while the dog is following me. Finish around 7ish cause the sun is starting to set. Get a little worried I might get lost, but dog starts off at a trot and looks at me to follow. Brings me back to the edge of the forest line to my grandparents' cottage. Thank dog and tell him that I'll try to visit the tree when I'm at my grandparents' house, but I would need him to guide me. Grandparents are pissed. I was gone for 5 hours in the forest without coming to check in like I usually do. Apologize and tell them I will next time. Tell me for now on I can't be out of eyesight of the cottage unless someone is with me. So not allowed into deep woods anymore by myself just cause they got scared once. Unfortunately, they moved a few months after, so I never did go back to the same spot. Sometimes I would see the dog in the tree line look at me as if it wanted to follow, but when I tried asking my grandparents if I could go in the forest, they told me no because they don't want me getting lost since I think it's okay to be gone for 5 hours. Alas, I never went back to Treemother, so my adventures never culminated past this, so I'll never know if I could have been some forest guardian or something. We always think about the road untraveled, and this is one road I wish I could have taken further.
Be me. Be little kid. Was staying at my dad's place. Parents are divorced. Be playing outside. Springtime but still relatively cold outside. Walk around the playground in front of my dad's home. See pale white kid with a greenish hue in the 13 to 14-year-old age range and a dark crimson jacket with plain black shirt underneath. Kid had pointy hair that looks somewhat unnatural and spikes slightly pointing backwards. Kid had very reduced cheeks to almost no cheeks at all and very pointy and above average sized teeth. Kid had ridiculously small eyes which were very reflective, almost like diamonds. Kid had overly pronounced eye folds as if he was pushing his eyes shut on purpose. Kid had visible cheek, jaw muscles, and jaw ligaments similar to predatory dinosaurs. Kid had this inhuman grin on his face, very tiny ears, and stood there as if he was talking to other people in a conversation, but no one was there. Walk past this weird kid at roughly 20 or 21 feet distance. Check this kid out after having passed him. He was now wearing a gray woolen sweater, with his jacket nowhere to be seen, with another kid having appeared out of thin air. Talking as if they were there the whole time. I walked by even further, took a close look back at the kid down from the end of the block. He was once again wearing a crimson red jacket, but of a different design than the first one. Other guy is suddenly gone too. Look away. Look back again. 2 more guys who looked roughly 19 years old and somewhat overweight have appeared in like 3 seconds max, and all 3 of them were significantly closer now. They were all staring and facing at me with the weird kid in the middle. Still grinning. The kid was once again wearing a gray sweater. Run to my dad's home seriously freaked out. Hear an inhuman scream somewhere behind me. My dad had just opened the door and heard it too. Dad claimed he saw me constantly looking behind me getting freaked out and what he described as a sentient moving heat haze following me.
Hi X. I am a casual lurker, I am Venezuelan, and I come to share and ask about experiences with trickster beings and shapeshifters and spirits who can disguise themselves. I know that Japanese culture is full of these kinds of things and plenty of animal spirits can transform with ease, but I really wonder how much entities can mimic us and what categories of beings can and can't do so. Have you had similar experiences with things pretending to be you or your family? My story below. Be me 12 years old at the time. My brother was 15. The family owned a big but run-down colonial-style house in a town in the province. Probably belonging to a low-tier landowner of the latifundio era. Grandpa wanted to have it become an inn, but the area never got developed and we simply used it to vacation ourselves. Me and bro were always so freaked out at night that we started sleeping in the same room. You had to walk across a scary as hell colonial hallway and across the patio to get to the bathroom of this house. Bro and I hated to go to the bathroom alone at night. I always annoyed the crap out of him, so he would come with me and he was cool about it. One night my brother was woken up by me shaking him and pulling out his blanket. He squints and sees me hanging by the open door waiting for him. He is sleepy and he is so used to this happening that he just plays along. Gets up and follows me. He never really stared too closely in what he thought was me. He saw my figure getting kind of lost in the shadows of the hallway. He heard my exact voice telling him to come, and when I vanished he simply thought I went ahead and had a bad rush to pee or something. When he got to the middle of the patio he realized there was no one in the bathroom to the other side. Door was open, lights out. The other rooms were closed. He kinda looked around for me and thought I was pulling a prank, trying to scare him.
WTF Anon, where did you go?
He then heard me whisper loudly.
Come Anon's brother, come, let's enter the garden.
He saw me heavily shaded but still perfectly silhouetted, making hand gestures for him to enter the garden area with him. This was a separate area leaving the house. Not actually a garden, but some backwoods of the property outside of the house and joined with the hill. My grandpa planted some mango trees. There was nothing there other than that. My brother was having none of this.
Are you crazy or what, Anon? Get in here or I'll wake up our parents so they kick your ass. You are going to fall into that stupid pit or get bitten by a snake asshole. You will get us both into serious trouble.
The figure that looked like me kept calling him and making gestures. So he got pretty pissed, turned back the way to our room and figured I would get scared of being left alone on the patio, so I would rush back behind him. He didn't heard me following though. Imagine the face on my brother when he saw me dead asleep in our room when he returned. It was not me the whole time. He screamed, woke everyone up and was close to tears. My father and grandpa went into the backwoods with lanterns. They found no one. You can't even access the property from there. You'd have to jump from a helicopter or something to enter the house from the back. It was not the only time me and other family members heard and saw each other calling us. We always had this happen every time we vacationed there. We found out the next owner took his own life after the government expropriated all his investments. There is nothing there now but squatters, and the town is run by a criminal gang and Centeros. What the hell was that? Be me, 2 years ago. On my way back from party with friends. Let's call them Rachel, Phil and John. We didn't drink over there. A sketchy place. Decide to buy a few beers and take a detour through a nearby forest. John carrying them in a backpack, looking for a good spot to chill. Suddenly, John goes, hold up, gotta pee. We kinda nod and stroll at a snail's pace.
Hey, I gotta pee.
Phil goes.
All right, we'll wait.
Guy comes back.
Thank you, friends.
WTF. We go our greatest pleasure. Thinking he going for a stupid joke. Phil doesn't say anything though. Phil just stares at John, eyes squinting in distrust. John staring back with a weird grin. In a calm way. Phil starts talking.
Something is missing, isn't it?
John looks panicked, like, immediately. We're talking switching facial expression in the blink of an eye.
You forgot something.
John starts to look at himself, counting his fingers. Phil counts back and punches John with the force of 1,000 suns. John scrambles up and books it into the dark forest. What the Phil?
You blind idiots. Who takes their backpacks off to pee against a tree?
John comes back.
Yo, thanks for waiting up.
We never tell him. B11. Summertime. Out to camp with dad and best friend. End of the summer, so no other people at the campsite. Friend and I go to bed after a long day of hiking and fishing. We stay in bunk beds at the back of the cabin, in a room with a window facing a big open field surrounded by wooded area. I wake up early. Sun is just beginning to rise. No reason, just woke up. Feel compelled to look out the window. See a long, gangly, upright standing 7 feet figure, at least covered in hair, out in the field about 20 yards away. It's leaping about. Looks to be playing almost. Watch for a few seconds. Notice it stop leaping and look right in my direction. Ask friend if he's awake. He has been the whole time. Tall figure turns to face our cabin and begins lumbering towards it. Lumbering gradually turns exaggerated running. Both look away from window out of fear. Feel the cabin shake as whatever it was collides with the sign. Crappants.jpg. Father awakens and storms into bedroom to tell us to shut up. Freaking out. We both try and explain what happened. Dad laughs at us, tells us we're dreaming and goes outside to prove us wrong. Nothing. Blames us both and goes back to bed. Thankfully. We left that afternoon, but my friend remembers this as well as I do.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel, as more green texts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.
Remember to check out the Odyssey page in the description for a second archive of the channel's videos.